Greetings, friends. It's Liam Maynard here with CashIsTheAnswer.com, and this is 11 disturbing reasons to never get a job. Let's get started. So first of all, getting a job is unquestionably the worst way in the world to make money. Why? Because you're trading dollars for hours, and you're doing it on someone else's schedule. So this is a horrible way to make money. If you look at people who are self-made millionaires, this is not what they do. They have multiple streams of income. They make money while they sleep. They make money while they eat. They make money while they're at the beach. They make money while they're playing with the kids, whatever. You can set up systems that pay you passive income ongoing. And even if there's not saying there is an effort involved, but it's effort that you are doing on your schedule to fulfill your dream, right? Your dharma. You're not doing it because somebody else told you to be someplace at a certain time so that you could get your crust of bread, right? So making money is a terrible way a job, I should say, is a terrible way to make money because you've only got one income stream, and that income stream can be taken away by someone else. So getting a job, don't do it. Worst way in the world to make money. It's also a disempowering experience because your experiences are just as valid as anything you'd learn at a job. The things that you learn on your own volition are just as important, if not more important, than any experience you'd get working at a job. Because if you're working at a job, the only thing that you can do with that experience is get a similar type of job. And the only people who care are employers of that industry type of thing. So if you, for example, I was thumping the table of self-education years ago when a digital product or a digital course was the cassette tapes you'd get in the mail, and people would say to me, "Why are you listening to that guy talk to you? That's not an accredited course." What does accredited course means? It means something that can help you get a job. But these are people who have condensed decades into days and have real world experience in getting actual results in the real world. And you can, in a matter of hours, gain that experience by learning what they have to teach as opposed to just going to a job. Because as I said at the time, self-made millionaire is not a course of study in university, right? Now, jobs also train you for a world that no longer exists, because in the old days, you'd have defined benefit pension plans, as they're called, at least where I am. And that essentially means people would work at a job from time they were young and got out of school until they retired, and then they'd pay them this, monthly benefit, possibly usually increasing by inflation, and they'd pay them until they died. Well, that doesn't work anymore, and no one does that. You're on your own. And most people will change jobs multiple times. So you can do that if you want to do something, if you truly enjoy what you're doing, fine, but most people are doing that because they don't know what else to do. So if you're at a job, that you're not building your own dream, right? Which is the next point here. You're building someone else's dream, right? Because the way to build your dream is to follow your bliss, to follow your joy, to follow the things that light up your soul, right? And you can't do that when you're on someone else's schedule doing work that they think that you should be doing instead of what calls to your soul. So the other thing to point out here is that if you're in a job situation, if you're an employee, you're the one who's paying for their dream, because you're paying the lion's share of the taxes in many Western type countries. Because if you're a business owner, you pay on your business income. If you're an investor, you usually pay capital gains tax. If you're an employee, you are taxed at the heaviest amount of anyone else. So you're truly paying for someone else to succeed. Now, you may be okay with that, but I'm not. Now, you also want to remember that getting a job is risky business, right? Because anybody could come in and tell you that your one sole solitary income stream is gone. And what are you going to do then? Go look for another job. Well, what if that industry isn't working anymore? Now you have to retrain and go do something else. This is a risky proposition. You are at the mercy of what someone else thinks your time is worth. They could easily get rid of your one solitary income stream with two simple words: you're fired. So that might be okay for you, but you might want to think about that in terms of how safe that really is. Now, what about this having a boss situation? Because having a boss is risky business too. What if you run into a boss who is, a slave driving gargoyle type who thinks that you should be doing, all the work for peanuts, etc.? I mean, you don't have a lot of control over that if you get someone who is a tyrant. Now, you can be, your own tyrant sometimes, I suppose, but if you want to have a job and be at this situation where you have to be reliant on some boss who is and what his whims happen to be, then you might want to consider that that's not the safest course of action either. And what happens when you need more money or want more money or feel that your time is more valuable? Well, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're resourceful, then you can just figure out a different income stream. You can figure out something else to sell online. For example, you can do ad campaigns to sell an information product. You can figure out a recurring billing service that you can offer people. There's all kinds of things that you can do to generate income. What about if you're an employee? Well, it's obedience training for employees. I mean, you basically have to hope that this tyrant boss person thinks that your time is worthwhile and is willing to pay you more. So you have to go and beg and grovel for a raise and try and convince them that you are actually worth more than they're paying you. Well, this is a terrible state of mind. It's a terrible position to put yourself in terms of your own self-esteem and your own self-worth. Why would you just slog away at some task that other people think you should be doing and hope that maybe one day they'll recognize your brilliance and give you more? Take control, right? Jobs create an insular social life. Not always, but there's a tendency for people to hang out with the same people that they are at the job site, they have a tendency to hang out with the same people they work with, right? What I'm trying to say here. And that's fine, but what happens if, your favorite playmate gets transferred somewhere else? Now what are you going to do, So it's just, most people go to the office or wherever they are, they go home, they watch some television, and they get up and put a plastic smile on their face and do it all over again. And this leads into our next one, but lack of freedom. But essentially, why not have control? Why not decide what groups of people you most relate to and expand your horizons and not just be in this insular situation with the people that you work with? I realize not everyone is in that situation, but it is something else that happens. Lack of freedom. This ties into everything else that we were talking about. You have to go someplace and at the beck and call of someone who thinks you should show up at a certain time at a certain place for a certain amount of pay, and then you have to convince them that your time is worth more. And if you want to go on vacation, for example, or if you don't want to get up at that specific hour, then you're in trouble, because you have to if you want to keep your job, and they only give you, say, 2 weeks usually in the entire year that you're allowed to take off. That sounds horrible to me. So there's no way you can possibly have any kind of freedom under a situation like that. It's also the death rattle of resourcefulness, because people get addicted to this, what they think is safety of getting this paycheck every 2 weeks, because they know, on the 1st and the 15th or whatever it is, someone's going to give them their peanuts, right? And this is the death rattle of resourcefulness. It goes back to what we were talking about, generating different income streams. Once you get to a place where you understand how to make money, particularly online, if you can sell products and services, if you can offer recurring billing services, that type of thing, masterminds, whatever it is you're doing, there's many different avenues, but it forces you, when you're an entrepreneur, to be resourceful and to go out and create your own systems in your own business that is something that you love, and something that, because if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time, right? And it forces you as an entrepreneur to go out and be resourceful and to create value for other people and to create things that they are willing to pay you for, particularly situations that don't require a lot of your time to manage, right? Because if you set up a situation where where the business doesn't operate if you aren't in it, then you're basically just another employee. You're buying yourself a job. What you want to be is a business owner, not a business worker, right? And you can do both. You can have a situation where you're the one in control of your income and your time, and you have time freedom as well as income freedom, and you're the one who makes the rules, and you're the one who basically is the strategist and the creative force, and you can get help to do all the stuff that you don't want to do and is not part of your core competencies, right? And this leads us to our last point here, which is dying while your music is still in you. This is something that Wayne Dyer talked about. And life is short, and how you build your dream is by listening to the whispers from your soul, right? You want to follow your bliss and pay attention to the inspired actions that you have, and doing this will lead you into creating a life that you love. And that's pretty hard to do most of the time if you are shackled to what someone else thinks you should be doing with your life and your time. So, hope you find this helpful. In the description, there's more resources on our blog. You can see the full blog post to this. You can see other resources from some of our other programs that we offer on our blog. There's the Source Hacker, and there's other programs about manifesting your destiny. So go check that out in the description. Hope you find this helpful. Speak to you soon.